I'm a bit of a tortured poet.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Maybe I am. You never know.
All right, should we
I ain't as rich and I ain't as famous, but
face the fires of Mount Doom and
yes,
attempt to talk about Taylor Swift?
I would love to. So I sent you this today because it really interests me, and also not only that, like I know you clowned on me today for saying I'm a music lover.
Well, you are.
Well, I am. Like
You grew up with music.
I grew up with music. I grew up with music. I am a music lover, and I care about the industry, but particular like as a small and unknown artist myself, I also care about artists from all different mediums,
of course,
like
totally.
YouTube and theater and actual artwork and musicians and stuff. Like I care about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and you can be in a different genre or category to someone else artistically and still respect what they've got going on as an artist.
It's all art, baby.
Yeah, it's all art. It's all love.
So I want to say this to start with, and I mean this, and I'm looking right on the camera right now because I mean it. Okay, I know.
I do it again.
I know that there are people out there listening and watching who are huge diehard fans of Taylor Swift. I want to put this on the record before I say any of my opinions. I really do respect Taylor as an artist. I actually do.
Yeah, dude.
I'm not a fan of her music necessarily. I do like a few of her tracks, but I'm not a huge fan of her as an artist, just personally. Do I think she's talented? Absolutely. I really, really do think she's talented. No one can deny that. She is second on Spotify. No. She has done insane stadium tours.
Oh, okay? Yeah. Her performances are out of this world.
She is insanely talented. No one can doubt that, okay? I do really appreciate her as an artist, and I am very aware, by the way, to all the ladies watching, that it is very common for men, and this is a podcast run by two men.
Yeah, that's
shit on her for just being a woman who is successful.
I
want to make it very clear. I want to make it very clear from the get-go that I do really respect that this is an artist that ladies do look up to, and you might not believe me, but I can tell you that I really do mean that I'm glad that you guys have someone who you can look up to and be very inspired by. I genuinely do mean that. Now, I've just said all that. If you choose to believe me or not for criticizing a few things and you're going to choose to believe me or not, that's your fault. I just want that context at the top because I actually do respect her as an artist, despite not being a fan of her. I do have a little bit of a bone to pick with her specifically, just because she's so big. She has a few things that she's done that I think not only reflect on the industry but also affect the industry.
She's an industry leader in a lot of ways. Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
I would say this that if just to add on to what you were saying, if anyone out there is listening to this, if you've gone to a Taylor Swift concert, if you've enjoyed yourself, had fun, you've enjoyed a night out, dancing and singing, that's great. That's fine. Like, there's no, we have
She's an entertainer for sure.
Issues with
insanely great entertainer.
Yeah, the people who have enjoyed her art, like, that's fine. That's up to you. No hate, no judgment. We're talking about someone who's a massive figure in the industry she works in and can literally like move mountains, or metaphorically, based on what she chooses to do in terms of her business practices and how she, conducts herself. So, yeah, with that being said, go ahead.
Yeah, and I also want to preface that this is just a Twitter thread that I saw by
Hey, Twitter world!
Is that me?
Yeah.
Hey, Twitter world!
Hey, Twitter world! Her name is Juan. Juan's Lovagon, who, by the way, is... Tom. Who, by the way, is... I will preface this as well. Again, I'm trying to defend you, Swifties, whose profile picture on Twitter is literally Selena Gomez. But she's done this quite well. And, okay, I'm going to read a few things and I want to get into necessarily my issues with it. And by the way, to preface one more thing, I've had this issue with Taylor since her last album, Midnights?
Yeah. I think that's the one that came out before. It's Tortured Poets Department is what we're looking at
Came out today. So So this creator says this Twitter person says,
Okay.
let's begin with the versions. Cassettes, vinyl, CDs, collection edition. So exclusive Phantom Clear vinyl includes bonus track, the manuscript, available only at Target. The Torture Poet Department vinyl plus bonus track, the manuscript, so blah, 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 blah. You kind of get what I mean. So next we've got the Torture Poet Department pre-order exclusive CDs Target. And this is so funny. So it's like Taylor's handwritten lyrics. So it's...
Wait, am I supposed to show more on this? Or?
It's you can just keep scrolling down where I'm talking.
I see.
Yeah, it's like her handwritten kind of like lyrics. It's not. It's just a print of it. It's all these different versions, which is really. There's so many that you almost go crazy.
So these are all different vinyls.
It's
like
vinyls.
All of these.
It's vinyls, CDs, cassettes.
Oh my!
It's kind of odd. Final new edition of the Tortured Poets Department with exclusive bonus track, The Black Dog, alt cover, and alt pressing. So basically, Taylor Swift, the Tortured Poets Department, limited edition, standard CD plus autograph photo. So that's a big thing these days. So Dan, if you can go down to this picture here, please. So a big thing these days is this idea of exactly an artist putting out a record and there being all these editions.
Totally. Now,
it is quite sad you see this these days. I think my biggest issue for this personally, and look, this is obviously a bit of an attack on Taylor, but also there's other artists who have also done this before anyone says that, is the idea that you can get all these different editions of a vinyl, for example, like color-wise. You can get this splattered vinyl, you can get this colored vinyl. Now, I'm sure the artist would defend it as you can pick the kind of color that you want. That is fair, I suppose, but also you have these kinds of Swifties who will not take that as an answer, Dan.
Shut up and listen to me for once!
Listen to me for once. They want every single edition of this album, and that is what's going to happen.
I see.
Not only that, the thing that I find probably the most, I'm gonna say this. I find this really kind of like disingenuous.
Bruh.
The idea that exclusive packages, as in vinyls and CDs and stuff and cassettes, have exclusive songs on them. That you can only listen. Well, here's the thing. You could only listen to them if you got that version.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Until yesterday. When Taylor released that she had a surprise for everybody. That this album also came with almost like a deluxe version, which came with all the tracks on it.
Okay.
But, you know, people have gotten these, like, you know, there's the smoke gray vinyl, there's the black vinyl, there's the beige vinyl, there's the Target. So Target got to deal with her, obviously. We've seen the pictures of the Target and all that shit.
Yeah.
Target's pretty big for getting vinyls and stuff.
Yeah.
The idea of that is pretty insane. Also, she took over iHeartRadio, which was rebranded as iHeart Taylor.
Oh, no.
So...
Oh boy.
This idea, if you can keep scrolling down, please, Dan.
Go ahead.
This idea that, you know, there you go, right there. This idea that...
This one?
Yeah. It's just kind of odd to me that, like, you know, we're not all Swifties. I respect if you are.
Speak for yourself.
Are you a Swiftie? Okay.
I don't want to say it out loud, but no.
No, well, look, I'm not necessarily a Swiftie, but it's just kind of interesting to me having her own stations on Sirius XM, which is also, if you go down, Dan, it's the station that Howard's on, which I think is pretty interesting.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know. I just think it's kind of funny. I also saw...
So she's super dominant in her category.
Absolutely. So you also get an exclusive profile frame on TikTok. She took over everything. There's no stone unturned. I even heard, if you keep going down...
Is that this video?
On Spotify, if you go down to this bit, on Spotify, even people, I've heard reports, even people who had her blocked as an artist were getting advertisements to go and listen to her new album. Oh. So even if they have her blocked as an artist, if they're blocked as an artist, they still get advertisements for it. And I just think it's a little bit shady to me.
Promo for people who have her blocked on Spotify, yeah.
So YouTube Shorts as well.
That's so she's getting promoted to people regardless of whether they have basically said, I don't want to hear this.
Apple Music would drop a word a day until Taylor Swift's new album, The Tortured Poet, moment. It's like, come on. It's like, it is insane. Like, it's an insane takeover.
Wow.
I guess, look, I'll say this, okay? I'll wrap it up here. I don't want to keep talking about this for too long. But my issue mostly is this idea of, like, you know, an artist who is as influential as her, who can have this idea of dropping all of these records with these exclusive songs in them. And also, regardless if there was exclusive songs in them or not, okay, there are people out there who will collect every single version of an album you can get, CD, cassette, vinyl, different colored vinyls. They will find every single version of that album and buy it.
I do it
regardless
again.
if there's a bonus song on there or not, okay? My issue with that is, first of all, I know particularly during COVID, even Oliver Tree said this, who was a reasonably big artist at the time, reasonably sized artist at the time. He was saying even for his second album that we can't press vinyls because of the shortage, because of COVID, because it was just hard.
Supply issues, yeah.
An artist like this who is printing that many vinyls of the same album plus an extra song on wax, there is literally, I can guarantee you, thousands upon thousands of smaller artists who are trying to get their EP pressed on wax that can't do it because of this.
The factories are being taken up, yeah.
I think
for all the different editions.
That's what I don't like. And another thing as well is I know not me, but I know you love to shit on Coldplay a little bit for being, you know, environmentally friendly. I'm a big fan of Coldplay. I love them. Their last album, Music the Spheres, despite what you think about it, every single record that they put out on vinyl was made from 100% recycled matter. And I think what is stopping... And look, granted, it doesn't look the most beautiful ever, but the vinyl itself, it does kind of look like it's made out of old newspapers.
Bruh.
But the fact that it was made from 100% recycled matter, I think, is really important. And
yeah, that's fair.
I don't see why Taylor can't even, for an edition, add this thing. Even I marked down here, I even saw James Blunt's new record has also been printed on
recycled wax.
Recycled matter. I'm like, okay, great. So this is a thing that could be
it's something they can do, but it might cost a bit of money.
You know, we shit on Coldplay shows. Well, I don't. You do, for being like a little bit wanky, for being, you know, environmentally friendly. Taylor is doing these huge shows, and to my understanding, sorry, she hasn't really made any effort to make it sustainable. And my last comment is that I did see an article from Billie Eilish saying that she is really trying hard to make her concerts sustainable. I'm not a Billie Eilish fan either, but I do respect the fact that she is obviously a huge artist who's also just trying to be sustainable. These are rich fucks who don't really necessarily care about this kind of thing a lot of the time. And if we can get recycled vinyls and get these shows that can be sustainable, I know this is a wanky statement, Dan, but
I think it's a good...
I just think she's so huge that I just don't think it seems like she's taking advantage of fans a little bit. And also, I've even heard, like a stan like Troy, Red Archer Live, shout out, who's a massive Taylor simp, even put out even he thinks that there's too many tracks on the album.
Different versions, yeah. And too many tracks in general.
And I just think it's a bit, I don't know. I think there's a lot of struggling artists out there. The idea of the wax thing is just like, and the concerts, like we had massive, was it this year or was it last year? Massive concerts for Taylor in Australia.
Oh, she recently at the end of last year, I think. Yeah, wow.
I think
that was crazy.
If they could have something like the Coldplay concerts, I mean, I went to both Coldplay concerts last year in Perth because they chose to just go to Perth last year. I went to both of them, but we went on the Sunday night, and you know it was fun. We jumped on floors that created kinetic energy,
to
and
make
there were
the,
people riding on
yeah.
bikes. It was fun. It was fun. I'm sorry. What's stopping you from doing something like that? I don't understand it. Like, I get she's rich and she probably doesn't really care that much. She catches a fucking jet plane everywhere. I'm really not trying to shit on her because I understand like people get very sensitive about it. But it's like, come on, if like Billie Eilish and someone like Coldplay or even like a reasonably smaller artist like James Blunt can fucking print his vinyl on recycled matter, it's like, what's stopping you?
Well, it's...
Do you get my point?
Absolutely. And with regards to Taylor, like, I do think, when it comes to Coldplay, that their sustainability attempts, I think, are good. I think it's a good thing for them to be doing. And I commend them for doing it, even if they are a little bit, like, self-congratulatory about it. But I agree that. I agree that Taylor... Absolutely.
Okay, all right. I
could,
can't deny that.
Look, she could and she should do those similar kinds of things. But I think what Billie Eilish is doing, James Blunt, I think all these people are trying.
Well, Billie hasn't done it yet. I think she's at least she's talking about it.
Yeah, she's talking about it. She clearly wants to take her business in that direction.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I like that.
I think that
Dude.
It's not something that Taylor could is always dogged by. Like, she can improve.
You know what I'm talking about?
Process. I mean, one thing that I will say, not necessarily in her defense, but just on Taylor's side, is there was something about her giving a massive bonus to her truck drivers.
I do like that.
For her tour last year, and I think that's great. That kind of stuff I think is really good, but I just think, the more money of hers that she's amassed that she can spend on, paying her workers better, making her entire business more sustainable and environmentally friendly, I think that stuff would be a really good addition.
I guess that's the issue, is like, it's because your girlfriend said this, like, it's kind of funny that, like, I'm going to get in so much trouble for saying this about Taylor, I'm sorry, but it's like, this whole idea that she's this regular girl that, like, it's like the tortured poet department, or what the fuck it's called, poets department.
Yeah.
She's literally the biggest star in the world. So it's the idea that the tortured poet is the idea that you literally have everything and you can't reach your
Sorry about
goals.
that. I'm trying to
Is
find
that
a video.
and what's the tortured poet? Is the idea like, I've seen complaints with like, no,
The whole
one that
idea
rich,
seems pretty wanky to me.
she literally is. This isn't an opinion. This is a fact. She literally is number one. So when you're number one, can you be a tortured poet? Are you a tortured poet because you are number one? And you can't do art because you got everything? Is that it? Am I going fucking doddy? I'm not listening to the album, by the way, before you ask that. I'm not a fan. But I can respect her. This is not me as a fucking man trying to shit on a woman. I know people are going to think I am. I more have a problem with the idea of the vinyls and not being able to support smaller artists. Like, I mean, how much...
I think that's a fair thing to be angry about.
Smaller people could be making records, and even if they're like EPs, like 5, 6 songs.
Well, yeah, it takes away...
And they can sell them at like a market, but they can't do it because, I'm sorry, they're going to pick this small band, or they're going to pick Taylor Swift. They're going to pick Taylor Swift. So, understandably, that's how it works always, but it's like, she's making fucking 10,000 vinyls for one album. And look, I follow artists who do the same thing, but they normally only do like 1 or 2 or 3. And normally they're a couple of years apart. It's like, there's always going to be like several versions, like maybe like 1 or 2 or 3.
I think having different versions,
there's
especially...
no bonus. There's these bonus track ideas. You have to buy every fucking version of it. I just think that's disingenuous. You're so huge.
I don't mind like exclusive collector's edition like packaging per se. Like if, a certain thing comes with like some stickers or an art book or whatever, that's fine. But I do think the idea of keeping the art itself separate. So like you literally have to buy a bunch of different versions just to listen to the full...
But then also to release it on Spotify as an extended version of the album. Yeah. Because I guess the idea is like you'll have access to this exclusive song.
Yes.
And then it's like, well, just imagine Queen or the Stones.
But there's just one you don't have on vinyl.
Or Jimi Hendrix releasing an album and then being like, oh, and look, I understand. Like from what I understand, like normally when an album comes out, it's for vinyl, it's printed on wax on just black, normal, or for $10 extra, you get the colored one. Like it's got a bit of color
like
to
a
it.
special fancy version.
I'm always more than happy to spend the extra $10 to get the cool splattered vinyl.
Yeah.
Okay, and maybe down the line, a few extra versions come out here and there, whatever. I guess even that argument is, I guess it's even that's not necessarily needed. But to put out, I don't know. I just am I crazy? I just don't think as influential as she is. She even has this line. I don't even know if it's real. I got no evidences, but I saw on Twitter. It's like I don't care about money or something. It's like, well, girls love you, and there is a little girl out there. I'm telling you right now, probably 10,000 of them who are telling their mama right now, like, Mama, I'm gonna do a paper round so I can pay for every version of the Torture Poets department.
Yeah,
and I feel sorry for them.
That's sad. The one thing I thought was a bit cringe. I don't know if you saw they did a launch party for the Tortured Poets department, and they had it was so dumb. It was like tea-stained letters,
but it had Spotify logo on
and
it.
It had the Spotify logo on it.
That is so fucking cringe.
It also had a fountain pen laid next to it, but the text on the page was clearly written by a typewriter.
That's what I mean. It's like, look, I don't necessarily blame Taylor for maybe going through a little bit of a meltdown.
She's allowed to be cringe. That's fine, you know.
She might be going through a little bit of a meltdown. Okay.
Oh.
Well, just maybe losing it a little bit that she doesn't even understand. Because I'm sorry.
Okay.
In my personal opinion, no one on earth should ever have to go for that much fame. You would not be able to comprehend it. We were talking about JoJo Siwa last week, Mrs. Gay Pop. Well,
It's called gay pop.
Times that by 100.
Yeah.
She is like, that level of fame is like,
and
you don't have a life anymore. You never will.
She's
everything you do. Even your shit is worth like 10K, probably more. There are men out there who probably buy your shit for like 100,000.
Well, that's the thing. She's being cringe
insane.
and whatever, but maybe at that amount of money, it's like that's the
Now shut up and listen to me for once.
The healthiest you can end up as, you know. I don't know. She did write this, which I think is so great. Touch me while your bros play Grand Theft Auto. That's some poetry right there.
That's what I mean. It's like
straight from the Tortured Poets department.
Every time.
What's the point of being alive?
Every time I've read something from it, it's like Taylor, come on, like.
Yeah.
And look, and by the way, I've given her shit. Like, do I respect the fact that she's now got back her discography and she's been doing like these Taylor's versions of her records?
Yeah, that stuff's cool. I like that.
Obviously the record company, you know, they've made her make these records and not in the way she wanted to. And do I respect the fact that she has now come out and done her versions of it? I think that's great. I think I had this conversation with a girl like in December who was a huge Swiftie, and she did not understand where I was coming from when I said this. But I said, look, I think it's terrible that she got to that spot in the first place, that she had to even make a record again.
Yeah, totally.
No one on...
She shouldn't have been controlled like that in the first place.
That's the issue. And I think what's so beautiful about this, sure, we'll never get as many fucking fans as Taylor, but at least we don't have a person on the side telling us what we can and cannot say.
No record companies, yeah.
No record company. And yeah, I think it's sad that it even happened to begin with. And, but yeah, do I respect the fact she got back everything that she, you know, yes, she should be able to sing and write whatever she wants. I've agreed with that from the beginning, but that clearly was not what was happening.
Yeah, I guess.
And that's sad. That's just what being an artist in that industry is. And I'm glad she's now at least making records that she is, you know, it's just her rather than some fucking producer, you know.
And I think the fairest way to like make this criticism is to say that it's really good that she's able to run her business and exist as an artist in more of an independent fashion and have more creative control. And with that,
bitch, I'm laughing because you big mad.
You know, it would be nice for her to just take the liberties she has as the person controlling what goes on at the business and implement some really positive changes that, let's be real, would set a precedent and be a leader in the industry and probably lead to, not universal change across the industry, but other artists would see that as a bit of a like, oh, hey, this is what we should be doing now.
Yeah, I think there's always room for improvement. And look, it's so easy to obviously bag on, who's popular and who's the biggest right now. But yeah, I kind of lost a little bit of respect for her when she did that whole like exclusive track thing. I just don't think it's necessary. And I think I'm sorry, like it reeks of like, come on, it's like your fan base.
It's just profit, money hungry.
It is,
stuff.
and that's the that's the sad thing. It's like your audience, what they'll do, and that's why they did it. And I hate the idea that someone came in.
Look, she's a businesswoman, man. She's
but
got to make that money.
Don't you think that fucking stinks, man?
It does. It stinks. It stinks of.
I can guarantee you, some guy coming on there is like, "Hey, sweetie, what do you think about this? We'll do, say, 10 different records, same album, except we'll put a different song on each one." It's like, really, seriously.
You want to say no? Take a look at the numbers on this check. Yeah.
But then, not only to do that, but then just post it on Spotify. She was like, a 2 a.m. surprise. It's like, yeah, it was a big surprise. It was a fucking surprise.
To the people who thought they had an exclusive version.
Yeah, all the kids at home, like, who are texting their mates, like, I have the exclusive song Black Dot. Oh, it's on Spotify.
I guess it's not so exclusive after all.
Well, I guess they would argue that it's the only way to listen to it on vinyl.
Great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like your mate's like, I just love the song Black Dog so much. I wish I could listen to it on wax. And you're like, yeah, well, fuck you.
Yeah.
You think I bought
well, I got it and you don't.
You think I
won't
bought
let you listen to
the
it.
crystal clear edition of the Dead? No, not Dead Poets. I can't say. What's it? The
Tortured Poets Society.
Just real quick before we move on, what do you think about the biggest artist in the world being called a tortured poet? Now be careful, because the Swifties are listening.
Haha, bitch, I'm laughing because you big mad.
I guess I...
Come on, Dan.
Spit
it out. Spit it out. Go on, say your fucking opinion.
She's an artist who is using fanciful language in her presentation, as many artists have done. And she has every right to do that. And I think our criticisms, thank you, should rightly be kept to her business practices.
You're so fucking spineless.
What am I supposed to say?
You're so spineless. You don't have an issue with the literally...
Okay, is it wanky and pretentious? Yeah, of course it is.
There you go. It is. Come on.
And I do think, look, if and again, it's understandable with all the money that's come her way. I think you get a bit of an inflated ego. You go, well, I have to be pretty fucking great if I've sold enough records to make all this money.
Not to contradict myself, but yes, there would be this awful feeling of being at the top that you would feel like almost like a tortured poet. But also, I feel like if you are feeling that way, I suppose maybe just take a little bit more time, because she only... Whatever, I'm just gonna get in trouble. Whatever.
Do you know what would happen if you finish that sentence?
Yeah, don't. Okay.
8 ribs broken in 14 places. Yeah. Right knee, right ankle broken, left leg tibia broken, the left ankle broken, right clavicle broken, right shoulder broken, face eye socket, the jaw, the mandible broken, lung collapsed, pierced from the rib bone, your liver, which sounds terrifying.
Yeah.
And
we say bye-bye!
Yeah, it really was.
I'm sorry. Again, if anyone's just tuning at this point, I did at the top of the show state that I generally do think that she is a very talented artist and she does deserve all the success that she's had. But I'm sorry, like, if she does this, I am allowed to comment on it.
Yeah, and with great success and power comes great responsibility.
One last thing I will say.
Good things.
I do understand, as the way social media works, you will see just a white man saying this, but I do want to preface that I am, as much as I can be without being cringe, want to say I am very glad that there is someone that, that little girls or regular sized girls can look up to. Okay.
Yeah. Good role model.
Yeah, exactly. I am genuinely really happy for you for that, but I am allowed to criticize her in the sense that I don't agree with everything that she's done, but I still look. I still think she's obviously extremely talented, and you're an idiot if you say she isn't. I'm sorry.
Totally. And I guess
I'm gonna get absolutely fucking railed for that.
It's fair.
I'm sorry. Can I not comment on it? It's like I'm sorry, folks. Like
It's fair, well-intentioned, constructive criticism. So we'll leave it.
glad you agree with me, Dan.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of you, Dan. Thank you very much.
We're very proud of you, Dan, and thank you very much.